All right, we have an article that's apparently super old, but is just either coming out right now or what? It's from This Week in Video Games, and it's titled, "Is Star Citizen a Real Video Game?" And apparently Kranzi's in here, and Chris talks about like release dates. Classic. And it's from Edmund Tran. Had a frank chat with Star Citizen Chris Roberts about his prolonged development to devout players to try to understand why they've invested so much time and money in the unfinished game. Okay. It's 2012 and admit a torrent of promising Kickstarter campaigns, Project Eternity, Republic, Wasteland 2. I don't know any of these, so they probably all failed. I'd thrown down $30 to back a project called Star Citizen. Aside from the game itself, the pledge tier comes with an in-game Aurora spaceship, a physical citizen's card, and an estimated delivery time of November 2014. Lamau. In the years that follow, the delivery timeline for Star Citizen and several other Kickstarter projects gets pushed out multiple times. I'll be right back. I gotta close the door. All right. There we go. I decided to move on, largely ignoring the backer updates. At some point, I hear that the project has entered a kind of playable early access period, though it's still not exactly a full game. I tell myself I'll check back when it's done. He never checked back. I changed jobs twice, moved home 6 times, got married once. Why does he say got married once? Fathered a couple of children. I occasionally stumble across a news story about another unbelievable funding milestone that Star Citizen has reached. They raised how many millions? It's 2026. That funding total is now almost $1 billion US. And one day in February, I find myself sitting in a hotel conference room opposite Chris Roberts, the driving force behind Star Citizen, as well as Wing Commander and several other projects. 14 years after giving him $30. My first question is, naturally, when is Star Citizen coming out? And he just smiled and stared at him like this. Well, we don't have a hard date for 1.0, he answers. It's the expected response. For those who aren't close to the project, this is one of the first things you'll learn about it. As a joke or a fact, depending on who you ask, Star Citizen is a game that is probably never going to be finished. I hate the way things are said here. It's so stupid. Like, WoW's not finished. But it is. So it's like WoW finished a long time ago because WoW started. When something starts, that's when does it start is the question that you should have. And then they can't say this stupid fucking line. The other takeaway is, despite this, its most avid players are the ones that continually invest a significant amount of money purchasing in-game ships, hence the $1 billion. They are not playing. Your most avid people are the same people that say that they do not have enough time to play the game, and then somehow think that they have the right to mold the game the way they want it to be, even though they don't play it, and they have no desire to play it ever. They are collecting Pokemon cards. That's what they're doing. Roberts is verbose. However, and adds a lot of additional context to his answer. He says that in the time since the Kickstarter campaign wrapped in 2012, developer Cloud Imperium has updated its tech several times to better realize the original vision, which we still have no fucking clue what it was. It also announced Squadron 42, a separate single-player narrative action game featuring a star-studded cast, blah, blah, blah. We all know them. Who cares? Squadron itself is a project that has also been delayed multiple times, but Robert says that the aforementioned advancements in technology and how the team was developing and improving Star Citizen also affected how they inevitably built the campaign. So we say moving the goalposts over and over and over again in a different way. Very cool. We could have made a good game 10 years ago, but we didn't want to. We wanted to continuously move the goalposts and continuously get funding for continuously moving goalposts. Very cool. We're going to get Squadron out first. The plan is for the end of this year, but there's a certain thing in the industry that we, like everyone else, have to pay attention to. So I can't 100% guarantee it. That is the first time that he has finally shown weakness. That's not yikes. That's good. To recognize what you actually are and that you are not going to compete and that you have a 0% chance to compete. And your game is different. Right? You can only lie for so long. I feel like he's been lying to himself, right? Like, hey, man, I've been working on this thing for so long. I think it's really cool. Like, it doesn't matter, right? He was not aware. You guys remember the last article we read from Chris Roberts where he said he thought he can compete with Grand Theft Auto 6? You guys remember that? It's on the React channel. He thought he could compete with it just 6 months ago. So him recognizing that there is a 0% chance that he can is growth and awesome. And finally, because it's not competing on the game side. Like it's a space epic versus, all of this other stuff. You're never going to compete with the news that GTA 6 will have. You will never compete. Your whole marketing has been word of mouth. You will not win in the market of word of mouth during Grand Theft Auto's timescale of existing in that ethos, right? So Chris Roberts says, hinting at Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto 6 releasing in November. After that, we'll do the 1.0 push. But the actual full roadmap of what features will be in the commercial version is hard to say because Star Citizen is never going to be finished. Such a joke bullshit. You have set out a roadmap that of what is going to be in 1.0. He continues as I raise my eyebrows. We'll keep adding features and content because it's essentially just a living universe. Like, everybody knows what a live service game is, and they keep, skirting around it. This is what the game will be at 1.0, and he knows it will be disappointing to the people who backed the game in 2012 through 2016 and beyond because they've overpromised and they will always underdeliver. No matter what, when 1.0 comes out, you will be disappointed in what it is. Instead of the people who get there at 1.0, which is going to be so many more people, I feel like, that are going to come in and they'll probably be satisfied with it. That's the problem with their whole system here, is all these people who have invested so much time, effort, money, thought, just energy into it are going to be disappointed 100%. It will not be what they wanted it to be, right? It just won't. But then people who join Star Citizen at 1.0, they might find that they really love it because they didn't have all that extra baggage that came with it, all these ideas in their head of what it will be. They will just know what it is, and they'll say, oh, that's interesting. I want to try that game. I want to play that game. And then they'll end up liking it, right? But the actual full roadmap of features will be in the commercial version. Oh, because, we already did this one. We'll keep adding features. Okay. That's not unlike how several live service games operate in 2026, of course, but never mind when it ends. When does it officially start? Hey, based. Finally, somebody says it. Robert says the team does have a laundry list of base features that they need to exist before the game can be brought out of alpha, like a crafting system, base building as well. And this is a rudimentary summary of what he explained to me. Planet Tech that imbues real rules like erosion and fuck off, and environmental considerations like humidity and temperature to inform how each planet is informed and evolves. The planets are not going to evolve. Shut up. How it evolved to be the way that it looks. But evolves? That would be awesome, but I don't believe you, okay? The end goal is that the simulation of the planet and how it's built is physically accurate. Like, it doesn't matter. Does it look cool? They always just lose the point. Does it look cool? Cool. Done. It sounds wildly, lofty, and ambitious as Roger continues to describe his plans for 1.0. I could wish I was a fly. I wish I was a fly on the wall and just point and laugh at just him rambling about stupid shit. All I could think of myself is aging like Matt Damon during the ending of Saving Private Ryan. But one point, Roberts eventually emphasizes to me that, like any other kind of early access game, Star Citizen is currently playable. Yeah. Unless you're actively checking it out, playing it, a lot of people go, oh, it's not finished yet, but it's a game that has more functionality. And he always says this bullshit, but it's a game that has more functionality. No, it does not. and more features. No, it does not, than most released games do right now. Okay, dude, you have more released features than fucking Bad Rats. Like, come on, dude. He always does that. He compares himself to other games and says that they're better. And it's like, you are just not better. You don't do anything well besides seamless planet-to-planet transfers and like the crazy tech of getting in and out of your ship while you're like flying your ship and moving out of your seat. Like, that is so cool and so awesome. Right? Like, if I was him, that's what I would be pushing. I wouldn't be saying I'm better than everyone else, where it takes an infant to know that you're not. Right? Like, it takes all you have to do is spend 5 minutes in the game and you know it's not better. Right? It's not better. The tech is better. The tech is better. The tech is so cool, but your game itself is not better. Because other games focus on doing one or two things or three things, maybe more, really, really well. Name one MMO that Star Citizen is better than. And any MMO you name that is released, you would just be wrong. Those MMOs might be bad, but Star Citizen is not a better MMO than them. It does some things that are really cool, but it doesn't MMO. It doesn't game, but it experiences better than a lot of other games. Right? Ashes of Creation. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You win this round, chat. But outside of that, it's kind of hard, right? Because when he says more functionality, that's just a kick in the nuts. That's so obnoxious to say. Right? I think WoW sucks. I think the idea of WoW sucks. But WoW is an infinitely better game than Star Citizen is and probably ever will be. Right? That is so hard to read. It may have more bugs, but there's more things that you could do in Star Citizen today than you could do in pretty much most other games. PAX Day? There's no way that PAX Day is worse. Well, because like when he says these things, because he'll go, well, you can mine, you can salvage, you can refuel. They're probably going to use now, which is total bullshit. You can be a medic. No, you can't, because you haven't supported those in the way that other games do. Because other games, when they put a feature in the game, they actually support it fully for the player to experience it in a meaningful and in-depth way. Every one of those features and things that you could do are at the most basic, crappy level possible. Right? Mining's really cool, but then look at the overall experience of mining. It's fucking horrible. It's fucking horrible. It's terrible. Mining action itself is amazing. And that's what he has his mind on, is like mining very cool. We do mining better than other games. Do you though? Because the other games, I know where to go to find iron instantly. And then, yeah, do I click on the rock for fucking 5 hours all day and it's boring as hell? Eve mining is horrible. Eve mining is horrible. The best thing about Eve mining is maybe being in Discord and shooting the shit with the other people you're mining with, or talking in in-game chat with them. Not the mining itself. It's terrible. But at least I know where to go, and at least what I'm gathering is meaningful, useful to the entire game that is being played. It connects well with everything else, right? Now, Star Citizen mining is becoming more meaningful, but where does Star Citizen mining struggle? It finding the stuff is extremely tedious and horrible, right? So that one's tough. And just because of the style of game and the scope, this is where he needs to dive more into. He spent this whole paragraph talking about a bunch of things that aren't true, but Star Citizen, every other game I play, I say, wow, I wish it felt like this in Star Citizen. And I wish that's what he would understand. Is he already nailed the style of the game and I guess some of the scope. I think scope in his terms probably are the same as mine. The seamless transition from planet to space and equally the other way around. The man nailed this. You're a fucking superstar. You're a superstar. You nailed it. You nailed it. And then all you have to do at this point is deliver the same experience that other games deliver to you on that basic level with that, and you destroy them. You destroy them. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it understandable. Keep it accessible. And then layer a little bit on top of it. Right? Layer on top of it from there, and you're good. It's not that difficult. You look at how simple other games do it, and that simple does equal meaningful, fun, rewarding. And then with Star Citizen, the rewarding part just goes through the roof because you feel like you're actually doing it. And I feel like he doesn't get that. I feel like he doesn't realize that he already nailed it. You already won, Chris. And now it's just about keeping it simple from there. I feel like that they don't get that part. I feel like they have to one-up everything. And you don't need to, because you already nailed your specialty. Your spaceships, fully explorable and super cool. Your planets, fully explorable and super cool. Not much more you need to, you don't need to break the mold any more than that, I feel like. Anyway, this article's super long, so let's keep going on. There were 54 million hours played by the community last year. Yeah, half of it was sitting in menus. The other half of it was sitting in server error, but sure. We've always got tens of thousands of people currently playing all the time. Okay. We have quite a lot of content creators and streamers. I think that's probably one of the reasons we've done so well. It's not us just doing slick ads or trying to buy user acquisition or anything. It's more like, oh, look, there's someone playing it and that looks cool. I want to check it out. Which is why they push people like me away, because they recognize that when people are positive, that will make people want to play it. And when people are negative in the streaming space, that will make people not want to play it. But what's funny is for so many people, I am still keeping them paying attention to your game. And yet you keep pushing me away more and more and more. And that's fine. I don't want to have anything to do with them. But it is funny, their mentality. Fake positivity sells 100%. 100%. Because if you look like you're having fun, other people will think that they're having fun too. The weird part is you gain nothing as a content creator from being fake and pretending like you're having a good time. So I don't understand. What you will eventually have is you'll have burnout, because you can only be fake for so long. A few weeks earlier, an acquaintance named Emily, pseudonym, surprised me when they revealed that they were exceptionally avid Star Citizen player. After speaking to Roberts, I contacted Emily to find out more about how she became so involved, learning that she was lured by that kind of organic discovery just 5 years ago. Once I learned the bones of the game were in place, you can actually get into a ship and fly around. For the first 2 years, I played daily, she said. These days, I log in every month or so to check out the new content I enjoy. So you're not an avid player then, because you can't avidly play. She's your standard player. Every once in a while, I log in, check out the new content, realize it's shit, and then quit. And go play something real that's actually fun. The games that Chris says he's better than. Meanwhile, you're better than everyone else, right, Chris? But your most avid players are checking it out once a month, maybe, for an hour or two. I enjoy PvE missions like clearing out bungalows full of bad guys or rescuing pilots under attack. I also love a spot of cargo hauling and salvaging. Perfect way to unwind while watching something on your second monitor. Yep. Wow, man, that's insane functionality. Second monitor gameplay. Very good. Emily said she's invested just shy of 5,000 in Star Citizen during that time. Child's play. And is effusive when describing the game's current appeal. I don't know any other game that offers what Star Citizen does. The incredible depth and realism of the gameplay and the immersion that it brings. You could truly lose yourself in it. It's a masterpiece, both visually and technically. This is true. This is cope. This is true. This is cope because I spent $5,000. Right? Come on. There is no depth of gameplay. That's kind of the problem. I mean, maybe she's speaking on like the mining stuff, right? But depth really comes with how it interacts with the rest of the game world, and it doesn't currently. So, but then when she says immersion and visually and technically a masterpiece, again, that is what Chris nailed. But the depth of gameplay and gameplay itself is the exact opposite of what he's nailing. It's fucking horrible. So, yeah. Sometime later, I got in touch with Croncy, a prominent Star Citizen content creator who has logged thousands of hours streaming the game. Croncy says he also was relatively late to the party, jumping in around 2019 after a long stint of EVE Online and attracted by the promise of a more ambitious sandbox space MMO. Yeah, unfortunately, it feels like it's not more ambitious. It's ambitious in the wrong ways, I guess. Look at that boy. Not even, guys, he's in Arena Commander, I think. He's not even in the PU. Yeah, he's not even in the PU. He's in AC. I feel like getting heavily into the game in 2019 was a godsend, as through my own investigations into the first 6 years of development, things were rough. I've gotten to see real progress in content delivery that, for the first half of Star Citizen's existence, wasn't there. Croncy says he's invested somewhere in the ballpark of 3,000 into the game, an amount he frames as probably the least I've ever spent on a hobby, comparing it to his investments in Magic the Gathering and Warhammer. He also indicates that he hasn't spent anything in the last 3 years because he no longer feels like he needs to, which is why Star Citizen goes after the Chinese audience and things like that, and they continue to run out of funding avenues. Another Star Citizen player who goes by the alias Jinoger told me that he got into Star Citizen somewhat on a dare. The attraction, oddly enough, was a buddy and I going, this sounds like a scam, but what if? A curiosity killed the cat kind of deal. We bought the cheapest bare bottom version. Then since then, I've put about $100 more for a decent sized group ship to cover a specific niche. My buddy got a hull scraper and I also got a small cargo ship so we can get some decent early cash. So this is the most like respectable way, I think, to approach Star Citizen, is like, oh yeah, I don't want to ruin the experience for myself when the game actually releases, but I do want to give myself a little bit of a head start on the fun experience and not have to fly these like Auroras and things like that. Because if I want to get into hull scraping, I want to get into cargo hauling right away. $100, me and my buddy are going to play together. Dude, so respect that. That's awesome. Instead of people doing this. While he hasn't financially invested quite as much as Emily and Croncy, Jinoger seems to carry a similar level of enthusiasm. He describes the feeling of playing Star Citizen as a lot like Destiny. Sometimes you have great patches and updates, sometimes not. But for the most part, the majority of the updates have been major W's. Okay. One thing I wasn't quite expecting from these highly invested players, however, was how willing they were to acknowledge the fact that Star Citizen is regularly wrangling with significant issues. The game has problems, major problems, Croncy told me. The scope of the game means major updates appear to throw everything about. Most Star Citizen players would agree that we're not the consumer, Jinoger added. We're especially people who paid to be the QA or the testing team. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Again, I feel like that is so cope. That's so cope. Because all I have to do is go back and read what you said. What if? I'm curious. Is this game good? You're lying to yourself because that's what keeps you engaged with it. Because again, we're all here because of the what if. You're not here because you're the QA team. No one's here to be an alpha tester. Like some people are. They love that shit. Very few. But like you stated before, many more people, and I would argue a significant majority, over 80%, are here because of the potential it has. Because you see what Chris has done well. Again, seamless planet-to-planet transition, planets themselves, and the ships, everything around the ships. Done better than any other game by a mile. And if we can just do the cool shit that every other game does, which is like the worth part, damn, we're going to have a good game. And again, this SCL and the following conversations and patches since this, I don't know. I don't know how I feel if they're going to nail that or not. I don't think they can without like a skill system and stuff, but we'll see. I think that Cloud Imperium are one of the most transparent companies in the space, said Croncy. Weekly dev shows, monthly progress reports, devs hopping in streams and discuss their work, active threads discussing the community's opinions on features and patches. It's the first time I've ever seen a company this open. But there's still issues which sometimes make playing the game challenging, Emily remarked. But the transparency on direction and progress of development has always been first class. I guess. It's also been a lot of first class, what would it be called? Like when you, like deception, like hand deception that magicians do. It's been a lot of that. Gaslighting, no. Sleight of hand, yeah. Like smoke and mirrors kind of stuff. More importantly, they acknowledge their faults quite a lot, which I appreciate. Do they? They seem to be listening quite a lot, even for major babies. Some of the player base can be. Hi, Janoger. Now, don't get me wrong. Janoger later says a lot of people are upset about how long it's taking, but at the end of the day, what they have there in alpha is playable. It's good. It's genuinely quite fun. And I think if they button down these last few major features, it's going to be a banger. Okay. I may be playing more regularly if they had gotten to the game to... I may be playing more regularly if they've gotten to the game to a point where everything works, says Emily, but I have faith it will be finished when it's ready. It's like, dude, it's like they just repeat what they say. It's like brainwashed stuff. It's kind of crazy. Croncy isn't one to pledge his faith wholeheartedly, but he also doesn't seem particularly concerned either way about the future of Star Citizen or his investments in it. We've seen that projects can collapse, most notably recently with Ashes of Creation, but I've already got my money's worth. I'm happy already. Of course, I want the game to continue succeeding, but if it all collapsed tomorrow, I'd be content. See, like, I think he's got a little bit of a better take there, which is like, yeah, I've gotten something out of it, and that's fine, right? But that's how Croncy is. He just doesn't give a fuck about anything, right? Robert says he thrives off the two-way street he's paved. It's like building a universe live on stage.
I swear.
Oh, come on, guys. You're so annoying. I'm reading. It's like building a universe live on stage, almost like kind of an improv thing you're doing with an audience, he says. You have this opportunity to put things out there and see how the world with people, see how it works with people and go, okay, that works well, we'll lean into this, or that didn't work so well, we'll adjust here. The problem is who is the audience that you're giving this to? You're giving this to an audience that isn't the audience that's going to play your released game, and then you're basing it off of their opinions. Right? That's the whole problem here. And then everybody is saying, it should be like this, it should be like that, it should do this. Oh, I like this. Oh, I like that. But you're already having delusional people who think that they're like QA for the company and shit. And it's weird. It's weird, and it you're getting focus groups, but you've created a focus group that is not I was going to say sample size, but the sample size is quite large. But the sample size that you actually have is the number of people that are like staying away from it. Right? No matter what you've shown, they're still not investing. And you got to ask yourself why. What are we doing wrong here? Are we leaning too much into the visuals and the ships? Oh, okay, that works well. This ship sold. Let's lean into this. Oh, well, that worked. That, funding part worked. Let's lean into that. Oh, damn, they got really mad about flight blades. Let's adjust and do variants instead, right? Like, are they even talking about the game itself? Or are they talking about how they fund and create Squadron 42? Kind of hard to say. But it's tough, man. It's tough because I don't think the feedback that you're getting is from the audience that you want to get it from. But who knows? I'm very curious on what sort of feedback they get during a free flight. How many people log in, instantly run into a problem, log out, and don't come back until the next one, right? Who knows? And as seemingly evidenced by players I later spoke to, Robert suggested he no longer is just catering to the original Kickstarter audience anymore. Every year, there's hundreds of thousands of new people that come and play. I think we're at 6 million plus user accounts now, he claims. I actually quite like the fact that we're constantly getting new people in who get new perspectives and new interest. And the challenge is to make sure that there's enough for everyone to do and that everyone has something that makes them feel happy. That's a great way to look at it. But you have to make those fun. And I think that they haven't done a great job of making those fun. Like the idea of there being a medic, the idea of there being a refueler, the idea of there being a miner, the idea of there being a salvager, their idea of being all these things works really well in a game like EVE Online. It's fucking fantastic. People just do the same thing over and over again, and they love it. But they're not going to do it here right now. All right? Roberts is in Australia for Atmosphere 2956, a competitive racing starship dogfighting showcase event run by the community organization Atmo Esports. Roberts refers to one of Atmo's other events, an hours-long ground vehicle race called the Daymar Rally, as example of the community's enthusiasm for freeform sci-fi universe Cloud Imperium has built, even in its current state. It's not just a person driving. They got support crews. They got people doing security. It's super cool. They do it once a year, and it's completely user-driven. That was not something we came up with, is because they have a sandbox to do it. Yeah. But the sandbox is only the vehicle and the planet. Like, do we have to talk about real sandboxes and the tools they're given? I don't need to bring up more sandboxes that give you more opportunity to do way more than drive from point A to point B. So, you know what I mean? Like, it is awesome, but we would have so much more than the Daymar Rally if they focused on the gameplay and the player experience. Like, he's calling that out as a win, and it is, but the number of wins they can have if they focus less on some of the other shit that they've done, right? Yeah, then they just do events instead, which is the complete opposite of the sandbox, and mission focus exclusively almost. It will always be about spaceships to the core, but it's more than spaceships. It's about living your life and your character in this universe where anything is possible. Yeah, except for, anything fucking functioning. Robert says the biggest thing for us is mostly just scaling the universe so we can have even more people playing in the same areas and spaces, allowing them to basically find and create their own places in the universe. In illustrating the scope of the world's persistence, he gives the example. If you land on a planet and oh my God, he's doing it. He's still doing it, dude. Nobody gives a fuck about your fucking Coke can, Chris. It used to be a coffee cup. Now it's a Coke can. Sponsored by Coke, by the way. This is not what will sell your game, man. It won't sell your game. Oh, if you land on a planet and drop a Coke can somewhere and fly off, that Coke can will still be there when you come back. Guys, if you're new and you somehow got to this point, that is not how it works. In reality, that is not the experience you're going to have. Because if you log out today and you come back tomorrow, most likely you will not be logged in to the same server that you dropped that Coke can on, or the same shard. You will be on a different shard where there's different Coke cans that were left everywhere. They've also done significant cleanup stuff over the last 2 years where those things don't stick around. Right? Also, are we going to mention that if I buy a ship and earn progression in the game for in-game credits, my ship just disappears? But, oh man, the fucking Coke can is still sitting there in the forest. God damn, Chris, you're amazing. You're amazing. I tell him that sounds like a development nightmare. Definitely yes. I mean, that's one reason why it's taken so long. Yep, because of a stupid fucking idea that doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of what you've created, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't add to it in the way that what you've already created adds to it. Like, I don't want to try and kick him while he's down or anything, because he's not down. You fucking won, dude. You did the coolest shit I've ever seen in any video game ever. We're all here because of that. I don't need to drop a Coke can and fucking find it again. I don't need to. That's not important. You've already nailed the experience you want to deliver. You just have to make a game in that world and just give people the sandbox tools to enjoy it. It's so simple from here. You did all the hard parts, except for the one hard part, which is getting more of us in there. That's it. You've nailed the hard parts in so many ways. One more difficult task, which is getting more of us in the play space. And then after that, just keep it simple, man. You're overdoing it with this kind of shit, and you're ruining it, which is exactly why it's taking so long. Because you're ruining what you've already succeeded at. You got to know when to hold them, and you got to know when to fold them. Fold that shit, dude. Initially, it was going to be much more in the way that Starfield worked, or the way that Wing Commander Privateer worked, where you'd sort of fly between star systems, and then if you went to a planet, you would get a cutscene where you would land, and then you would go around a limited area and interact with people. Honestly, sounds fun. That changed when the support and the backing was so big that we were like, okay, we could potentially go further. One of Star Citizen's signature features is now the seamless nature between ground, air, and interplanetary traversal, like high-fidelity version of No Man's Sky. We discussed the aforementioned spacefaring games and others that have released in the time since Star Citizen's Kickstarter launched, and I wonder if playing those titles has spurred any sort of imperative for Chris Roberts to speed up the timeline. I'm making a game that I want, he answers. Yeah, and that's exactly what you're doing wrong. And that's exactly why this shit is going to fall on its face. You're making the game for one person. Yourself. Right? And I hope you recognize that this is so much bigger than you now, dude. This is so much bigger than you now. I have so much respect for you. You have no fucking idea. You might not think it. I have so much respect for you, Chris. You are my childhood. Like, the games I played, my friendship still exists from playing your games with my friends. And like, I just talked to my friend that I would go to his house and play fucking Wing Commander 3 with him on his dad's computer because he was the only one that I could play it on. I still talk to him, right? Your games will forever be meaningful to me. You've brought me into your studio and showed me your studio, Star Citizen, in an amazing way. You've done amazing things, but please get out of your own way and realize that this is so much more important to so many other people other than you. Make Squadron for you, but you cannot make Star Citizen for you anymore. You cannot make Star Citizen for you anymore. It's so much to so many more people than just you. And I mean that from the heart. And I hope that gets through somehow. It means so much more to so many people than just you. Stop making what you want and make something that will last forever. Please. Because that's why people gave you money. They didn't give you money to make the game that you want. They gave you money to make the game that they want to play. And they were hoping that you would make the game that they wanted to play. Because you did before. And I hope he recognizes that. And like, I'm not angry. I'm not yelling. I'm speaking from the heart here. I don't want to play your game. I want to play a good game. Get this Coke can bullshit out of here. Like, really? I'm not looking at Star Citizen like, oh, this is a game that will get X number of users and do this. I'm looking at Star Citizen to be like, wouldn't it be cool? Taking our money and going, wouldn't it be cool? Is anybody recognizing how fucked up that is? It's really fucked up when you really think about it, right? We're trusting you. And you're going, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if I just put it on red? Oh, spun black again. Got to sell another ship. Oh, 00. Because that's what's happening. Really shit. Like, this is crazy to say. With $1 billion, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if I lit $1 billion on fire? Because that's what you did in a lot of ways. Holy shit. This is the game that I want to play, the universe I want to be inside, and that's my motivation for every game I've ever made in my life. I've never considered the financial aspects of it. I'm not asking you to consider the financial aspects of it. I'm considering for you to consider the people aspects of it, because you've never made a game like this. You've never made a game where millions of people will potentially experience the experience at the same time together. It's a different thing. It's a different thing. It has to be a different thing. You have to get out of your own way here a little bit. You have to. You can't make the game that you want. You got to make the game that everybody else wants, because you'd never made a live service game before like this. That's not how it works. You make the game that you want, you're going to be playing it by yourself. 100%. We're not in the ashes of creation situation. Yeah, you've probably been close a few times. We basically invest most of the money that were raised back into development, and that's how it's been for the past 14 years, basically. Last year, we were better by a large margin than any previous year. So on a financial basis, we're pretty comfortable. Okay. On the topic of finances, I asked Chris Roberts about Star Citizen ships, and the thousands of dollars players, including the ones I spoke to, felt were such worthwhile investments. Ship packages range from $66 on the lowest end to the Legatus pack, regularly updated package that includes all of the in-game ships and was last priced at an eye-watering $48,000 in 2024. He frames the ship economy as community-driven decision. When Star Citizen offered different ships as different tiers of pledges in the original Kickstarter campaign, Robert says there were immediately backers who got in touch. There's a whole bunch of people in the community saying, I don't want to buy the game again, but I want this, this, and this. So can you just sell the ship by itself without the game package? Again, this is one of those things where, are you trying to make the best game possible? Because if you were, you wouldn't have done this. Right? Because you would have been like, nah, man, I would love to, but we can't do that because it would affect the game's experience. So of course you're not in an asset of creation situation because you sold yourself out. Right? Where they didn't sell anything of in-game value, really. So they ran out of money a little bit faster than you. Right? And obviously, like, all sorts of other weird shit. Like, Ashes of Creation, again, is totally different. But spineless behavior, I don't know. I think that's a little excessive to say. Like, you don't know him, neither do I. But I think it's less spineless than, like, it would be cool if. Right? That's his mentality here. I'm getting if I get all this money, I could do cool shit with it. He's always thought that. It's always been that way. Roberts is well aware of the external perception, especially with the high-end bundles. However, he suggests Cloud Imperium has been hesitant to change the monetization model at risk of upsetting the status quo. Who's status quo? Your financial freedom status quo? Come on, bro. Fuck off with that. It ultimately literally wasn't us. We're just responding to what the community wanted based on Kickstarter tiers. And in some ways, I think that's what works for people. Maybe they can't afford to collect a bunch of Ferraris, but they want to collect some really badass spaceships. Buddy, they'd be... Wow. Wow. Yeah, it wasn't me, guys. It was totally it was your fault. I don't know what to say to that. I got nothing. We're just going to move on. You all know that statement was horrible, and I don't have to add to it. I don't have to Jared explain this one for you. That is really, really bad. He's not lying, though. It's not about lying. It's not about lying or not lying. It's about putting your foot down. It's about not taking responsibility. Who gave him the money? Who developed the packages and took advantage of human behavior to make the maximum amount of money possible? Right? So not taking, like, okay. I worked in a casino for 15 years. The responsibility is on the player who is putting the money on the table to stop. Right? The moral responsibility is on the casino to protect a player who is going too far. We literally do have that responsibility, right? A player comes to me one time when I was in Atlantic City and said, Mike, I lost it all yesterday. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. You know, thinking it was just, I lost what I brought to the casino that day. And I go, just your buy-in or whatever, or like everything. And he was like, everything. I was like, all right, come with me. Dude, I was 23 at the time. I was 23 years old, talking to a grown man that couldn't control himself. This guy would play not for 10 hours straight, for 48 hours straight, guys. Maybe more, sometimes 3 days. Absolute sicko. Okay. Pulled him aside, talked to him, and said, hey, like, you need help. Here's the pamphlet. Figure your shit out. You know, I'm not looking down on you, but you came to talk to me because you need help, and I'm here to help you. I can't help you more than what I can do right now, but here you go. Didn't see him again until right before I moved to Florida to open another casino. Clean shaven, cleaned up, looking good, saved his house. His relationship with his daughter is so much stronger now, and came up and thanked me for it. Right? So even in a situation where the casino is, you know, exists to suck you dry, is what you would think, you know, it's not necessarily. And you do have a responsibility in a different way as the developer, in my opinion. So, you know, you watch a guy like Montoya, right? I hear this all the time. They're a business. They're a business. They're a business. But that doesn't mean that their entire existence is to suck you dry of every single dollar they can possibly suck from you. Right? There also should be an obligation by them as a game developer to make the best game they possibly can. Right? It's the casino's job to provide the best experience they possibly can for the people who come to the casino. Ruining someone's life is not the best experience they possibly can get. It just isn't. Because guess what? Then they don't come back anymore. Right? The most sustainable way of running a casino is having many, many people come and spend what they can afford all the time. Not what they can't afford, because then they're gone. Right? So when you sacrifice what your game could have been to go, wouldn't it be cool? I feel like I was disrespected, wronged, and treated unfairly because wouldn't it be cool? Right? And I think they've done what they can to keep the thing afloat. But to continuously do, wouldn't it be cool, every time you get another, you know, few million in the pocket, and then continuously take the funding model and growing it 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 because people are incapable of controlling themselves, and then blaming us for it isn't fair. Again, I've seen the most addicted people ever, and I see all the same signs in the Star Citizen community, right? It's every excuse for why to keep going, and no excuse, no onus on themselves. And that includes Chris and company, right? It must be really addicting to draw a spaceship and make a ton of fucking money and just do whatever you want with it. It must be awesome. Towards the end of our long talk, discussion concerning the current state of game making and then Chris Roberts' early career, I think I made Wing Commander in 18 months. That was nice, he says with a chuckle. It was maybe 10 people or so, and even the first 12 months were only about 3 or 4 of us. And then after that, it was like we had 10 more people join us to sort of close out the last 6 months. So like many prolific game developers from the 80s and 90s who had continued to work in the industry, I get a sense that the modern blockbuster game development is taking a toll on him as a creator. We've essentially been releasing some version of Star Citizen since 2016, so that's helped, because I think it would be really hard making a game for 10 years that you're not getting the outside world to experience or play. I don't think they would be making it for 10 years. They would have taken the scope down significantly and would have delivered a more cohesive experience, because that's what they would have needed to do. By the way, do you see Star Citizen in the original Wing Commander? So similar, right? Just looks like a Hornet. It's fucking sick. And Vandal ships, by the way, totally not Kilrathi ships. But yeah, it's tough. It just takes a long time to make good stuff now. People have this expectation. They want a huge amount of fidelity and detail and simulation and rendering power. Who are these people? Those people are you and you alone. Again, I'm making this game for me. And then says this. I say this all the time, guys. Millions of people bought Valheim. Millions of people bought Valheim. Done. Shut up. The same amount of people that you have backers in 14 years bought Valheim in 1 month. Like, one of the reasons people respond to Grand Theft Auto games is because they have an incredible attention to detail. But they don't on the things that you consider attention to detail. Right? They cut corners still. They do. For you as the player, when you're playing it, it just keeps you in that world. It sort of sucks you into it. Yeah, and they didn't have to go as far as you to do it. And the more you're sucked into it, I think the more it feels visceral to you. And the more it feels visceral to you, the more engaged you are. 100%. Like, he gets it there. He absolutely gets it. But Valheim does that too. Valheim does that too. And you're in third person and you're literally pixelated. Star Citizen does that now, though. Star Citizen did that in 2017. Star Citizen did that in 2017. But he wants to make it look like the highest end possible thing, which is where I think he's losing this paragraph and why GTA is so successful. Do we really need to look back at like what GTA actually looks like? It doesn't look that good. It doesn't need to. Because the experience is immersive enough. The interactions are immersive enough. And he doesn't do any of that. That's a frustrating one to read. Ultimately, the goal of making a really great game is for you to forget you're even playing a game. You shouldn't be thinking in terms of how are you going to min-max it. It should just be you're there, you're in the moment, so attention to detail is really something that I think sets a good game apart from a great game. Yeah, imagine if you had some attention to detail. In what players do instead of what they're looking at. Attention to detail, and then, like, things still float everywhere. We still use the same boxes that we would interact with ones that we can't interact with, which completely takes you out of the environment and makes you realize how fake fucking things are. Every environment, they include that. Beams, everything, yeah. And the only way you can really do it is just one step in front of the other. It's like the Dory thing. You just keep swimming. Just keep going and eventually get there. I have no idea what that is. If I asked Roberts if he had any regrets about Star Citizen, in hindsight, I think it probably was naive about the time some of these things would take at the beginning. He admits that's definitely something that I'd be more cautious and wary about going. And yeah, we should have done this in a few years. It's kind of hard to say, though, because a lot of times all the choices you made get you to where you are now. Like, again, that's one thing that we cannot ignore. All the stupidity and all the ridiculous shit that he has done has gotten people interested in the game because it's so fucking ridiculous. And it's still, what if? This game is so ridiculous, what if they pull it off? It's going to be awesome. But I think the more they do now, in the last, like, 5 years, the more they've done funding, the more they've done certain things, they've made the what if less and less and less possible. For me, it's really about being able to make the best game possible. No, it's not. If it was, you wouldn't do anything that you're doing now. This is complete and utter bullshit instead of the best game possible for me in a selfish way. And that takes time and money, right? So we're lucky enough that has a community that is happy to support it. The Star Citizen players I talked to were all convinced that given the right chance, most people would be impressed with the state of the game. Anytime you try to bring people into the game, it falls apart. Janoga framed it as a stepping stone for the game tech and design in the same way that Baldur's Gate 3 was for game narrative. The systems they've created and implemented will seriously push new games in the future further than they've gone in a long time, and I'm excited for the future, not just Star Citizen, but games that might take these ideas and do cool new things with them. So here's the thing that other games have already done. They've taken things that Chris has done, they've done them down, simplified them, and actually make good game experiences with them, unlike the one that you're having. Regarding the game Cynics, Emily says that I can only assume they haven't seen the game recently, seen what we've just been added in the last few months alone, the whole new star system, crafting, engineering, server meshing. I think if people gave the game a chance, they'd be blown away. I mean, guys, what? What? I'm burnt out, though. What is not being delusional have to do with being burnt out? And I've already explained, I'm not burnt out on Star Citizen at all. I am burnt out? You're just telling me how I am? Oh, wow. Thank you. How much do I owe you for this therapy session? $200? Dude, thank you so much for it. Holy shit. Thank you for my diagnosis. What should I do? It has nothing to do with being burnt out, whether I am or I aren't. I am burnt out, but I'm not burnt out about Star Citizen at all. It's more just everything else. But just read the sentence and tell me it's true. I can only assume they haven't seen the game recently, seen what's been added in the last few months alone. A whole new star system with no planets. Crafting. Crafting is not in the game. It is the most baby step of crafting and is still ever changing and is not the crafting that will be. Like, they didn't even announce crafting in the game. Like, CIG didn't even announce it, and she is. Engineering. Everybody knows that is not a functioning game experience right now. And server meshing is awesome. Server meshing is awesome. Sorry. Tell me it's not true. We went from 100 players to 700 players. It's fucking awesome. Sorry. But just tell me that I'm burnt out and those things just aren't true. There's nothing about burnout about those things. Engineering is just not an experience that delivers on anything they said it would be. Crafting is just not a thing that even CIG is mentioning right now because they're not happy with it yet. They're not like, hey guys, we're going to put a little bit of crafting in, give us some feedback so we can build upon it. That's what they told us. Done. To the skeptics, there's a lot to be skeptical about, and we know that, says Croncy. I just hope CIG continues to learn what standards the greater gaming community expect for a release game and can deliver it. I love this man. I love this man. See, like to put this statement next to this statement, Emily is fucking delusional. Right? I hope CIG continues to learn what standards the greater gaming community, because our community is this big. This big. But he ends with this. I've never been part of such a welcoming community. Everyone is always so excited to talk about their favorite ship, gameplay loop, or something cool that just happened in-game last night. I don't think we would be so gripped by the game without the community. Or the ability to talk about those things. Like, that's true too. I've had experiences in this universe I couldn't have dreamed possible years ago. When the game works, it could deliver these unbelievable cool moments that will drive you to play again, even after the 50th time falling through the planet. Also true. Also true. I've said it a billion times here. This game does something that no other game does. But I wish they learned what standards are acceptable and started trying to achieve those standards, because they already nailed everything else. And that's that. I finally read the entire article. Holy crap.